All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about data security. Now, I know we can feel like a huge, complicated topic, but we're going to break it all down. We're going to give you the exact framework that the pros use to protect data. By the end of this, you'll totally get the game plan. So let's get to it. I want to start with a few numbers because they really tell a story. First up, 4.35 million. Just keep that number in your head for a second. Okay, now get this. More than double that, 9.44 million. And finally, a percentage. And this one might be the most revealing of all, 83%. So what on earth is the connection here? Well, these numbers, they're the why. They explain why data security isn't just some IT problem anymore. Nope, it's a critical issue for every single business out there. Let's break down what they actually mean. All right, let's connect the dots. That first number, $4.35 million, that's the average cost of a single data breach globally. But if you're in the US, whoa, that number skyrockets to almost $9.5 million. And that 83%, that's the percentage of organizations that get hit by more than one breach. So the big takeaway here is that a breach is no longer a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and the price tag is absolutely enormous. So with those stakes in mind, here's our game plan for today. We just covered why this matters so much. Next, we'll get into the plan, building that foundation with governance and discovery. Then we'll talk about the defenses, which are protection and compliance. After that, we get into the action phase, detection and response. And you're definitely going to want to stick around for the end because we're going to reveal the top 5 things you can actually do to lower the cost of a data breach. Okay, let's start at square one, building the foundation. This whole first phase is about planning and preparation. Think about it. You can't protect what you don't even know you have, and you can't hit a target you haven't defined. So, this is the entire data security ecosystem in a nutshell, and you'll notice it's a cycle, a continuous loop. It all starts with a plan. Then you find your data, you protect it, you check your work, you watch for anything weird, and you respond when things go sideways. And here's the crucial part. What you learn from an incident feeds right back into the beginning, making your whole plan that much stronger. Let's walk through it. So what's actually in a good plan, a governance policy? Well, first, you need a policy that clearly defines what's sensitive. Then you need a way to rank that data, from the super secret keys to the kingdom, all the way down to the public lunchroom menu. For each level, you say exactly what protections are needed. A data catalog maps out where all your crown jewels are. And finally, a resilience plan has to answer the really tough question, if the worst happens, how do we get back on our feet? Now we're in the discovery phase. You got to go find all that data you just defined. Some of it's easy, it's structured, living in nice, neat databases. But a huge amount of it is unstructured, hiding in files, emails, spreadsheets, you name it. Just think, your keys to the kingdom could be copied out of a secure database and pasted into an email. If you can't find that copy, you've got a massive blind spot. A key piece of tech for this discovery work is called data loss protection, or DLP. You can think of it like a security guard for your data. It watches your sensitive info in real time as it's moving around, and it's designed to stop it from walking out the front door, so to speak. Okay, so you've made a plan, and you've found your sensitive data. Now it's time to build the walls and post the guards. This is the protection and compliance phase, where we get serious about actively securing that data. A huge part of protection is encryption. And here's the critical point you have to remember. Data really exists in 2 states. You've got data at rest. That's stuff just sitting on a hard drive or in a database. And you've got data in motion. That's data flying across the internet or between users. The bottom line, both need to be encrypted and locked down tight at all times. And that brings us to the most important rule of encryption. It is not enough to just scramble the data. You have to be incredibly careful about managing the keys that unscramble it. Because if you lose the keys, you lose the data. It's really that simple. Game over. So beyond encryption, there are other essential protections. Access control is vital. It doesn't matter how strong your vault is if the password to get in is password, right? Backup is your absolute best defense against ransomware. And compliance is all about making sure you're following the rules, like GDPR in Europe or HIPAA for healthcare, to avoid some truly massive fines. And finally, a good retention policy just means you only keep data for as long as you legally have to, which seriously reduces your risk over time. Now for the final stage of the ecosystem. You've built your defenses, but security is an active game. This section is all about staying vigilant, spotting threats, and responding intelligently when they show up.
One of the smartest tools for detection is User Behavior Analytics, or UBA. This isn't just about looking for viruses we already know about. No, UBA creates a baseline of what's normal for every single user. So if an employee who usually downloads 1,000 files a day suddenly starts pulling down 1,000,000, UBA flags that immediately. It's looking for anything that just doesn't feel right.
Once you detect a threat, you have to respond. For the common stuff, the attacks we've seen before, you can use automation, a preset response that just runs on its own. But for the new, first-of-a-kind threats that you've never seen before, that's when you need orchestration. This is more like a conductor guiding an orchestra. It's a dynamic playbook that guides the human security team through the whole response step by step.
All right, as promised, we've made it to the final section. This is the payoff. After understanding this whole ecosystem, what are the most effective, highest impact actions you can actually take to protect your organization and slash the cost of a breach?
Here they are, the top 5 cost reducers. Number 1 is using AI and automation, which we saw in that detection phase. Next is DevSecOps, which is really just a fancy way of saying you build security into your apps from day one, not as an afterthought. Having a strong incident response plan and team, that's the orchestration we just talked about. Widespread use of cryptography, of course. And finally, number 5, employee training. Now, what's so fascinating about this last point is that after all the advanced technology we've just discussed, AI, encryption, behavioral analytics, one of the absolute most effective ways to save money comes down to people. Technology alone is never enough because the human element is almost always the weakest link in any security system. Which really leaves us with a final thought. With all the incredible, mind-blowing advancements in security technology, have we actually solved the core problem? Or is our biggest, most persistent vulnerability still the person sitting at the keyboard? Thanks for joining this explainer.